Ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to welcome back onto Avry Sports Show, probably one of the most colorful men in all of sports in Canada, the president of Maximum Fighting Championship, Mark Pavelich. Mark, how are you doing tonight, sir?
Absolutely fantastic. Getting ready.
That's good, that's good. I know MFC 41 goes down tomorrow night, Access TV, Shaw Conference Center. I know you've been in the fight game for over a decade. And every fight card, I see you on Twitter, I see you on TV, I see you everywhere. And you're just as excited as you probably were for MFC 1 back in the day.
Well, you know what it is, Avry? This is what people don't understand. When Michael Phelps wakes up every morning, he's excited to go to the pool. You know why? Because he's a great swimmer. You know, you have Wayne Gretzky. He was for sure excited to go to the rink every day. Why? Because he was so awesome at hockey. And then there's me. I get excited about it and have for 15 years because I'm so good at what I do that for me, I just want to do it all the time. And when you find your niche in life, that's what happens.
No, that is very true. That is very true. You find your niche in life. You are very correct in that, sir. I know this card. You know what? In mixed martial arts, injuries happen. It's a part of the fight game, no matter what promotion, no matter where you are in the world. I know in this fight card, you've had quite a few injuries. I know your light heavyweight champion, Tom Galeocho, he's injured. And I mean, you found a way around this. You found a way around the injury. And you have Marcus Edwards now fighting Shane Campbell. Where did the super fight idea come from? Like, whose idea was it to have these two fight in light of the Tom Galeocho injury?
It's funny. We all sit around the office and, lots of scenarios come across, and that's what happens. And when it comes across, we're like, okay, now we got to make it happen. You can come up with all the cool scenarios all you want. Doesn't necessarily mean that everybody wants to fight each other. And that's the case in the MMA world now. It's not like you think. When everybody talks and says, oh, I'll fight anybody. That's not true. It doesn't happen. You think, oh my God, this is a great fight. And me and you and everybody else wants to watch it. But unfortunately, the two fighters don't want to fight each other because too much of a risk for reward scenario for some of these guys. That's what, it's funny. I always say that. People always go, well, why doesn't Joe Silva do this? And why doesn't Joe Silva do that in the UFC? And I said, well, people don't understand because sometimes guys don't want to fight other guys. That's just kind of how it works. And, you don't think that they've thought of those scenarios just like we haven't thought of those scenarios? We have. And we're just fortunate enough to have Shane Campbell fight, Marcus Edwards. It's going to be an unreal fight. And I want everybody to tune in tomorrow night on Access TV, 8 p.m. Mountain Time, 10 p.m. Eastern, 7% Pacific. And there's about 30, 40 tickets left, so go to ticketmaster.ca. Ow!
Yeah, people better hurry. I know they will go quick. I know the weigh-ins were today, Edwards and Campbell. I know, unfortunately, for Shane Campbell, he missed weight. I know it was supposed to be a catchweight fight at 160 pounds. He weighed in at 163.5. I mean, that kind of sucks because he does now forfeit 20% of his purse, Mark.
Yeah, and you know what? That's unfortunate for him, but, Shane likes to make money. For someone that likes to make money so much, I would never give anybody 20% of my purse. So, I mean, that's his prerogative. I'm mad at everybody that misses weight. I can't stand it. Majority of the time, if you miss weight more than one time in my organization, usually I just fire people because I don't care anymore. I mean, if you don't get it with me after all this time, there's something wrong with you. We already realize there's something wrong with me, right? But on top of it, there's definitely something wrong with you if you're in the Maximum Fighting Championship and you come in way overweight. I mean, it makes no sense whatsoever.
Of course. I know there's, and with him missing weight now, how does this affect the welterweight title match, possibly, and a match against Tom Galeocho now? How does this affect both fighters now, Mark?
Well, if Marcus Edwards wins the fight, he fights Galeocho for the title in January at 155. And if Shane Campbell wins, I'm positive that he's going to go up to 170. And we'll see what happens after. I'm not making any predictions. I'm not making any scenarios. I want to see what happens tomorrow night. I want to see tomorrow night what's going to happen, and I'll go from there.
This card, it's being kind of built, Edmonton fighters versus American fighters. People have dogged you for quite some time saying, oh, Mark Pavelich, he only promotes, the American fighters. I mean, what does it mean now to, say to people, look, I have so many Canadians on this card, you cannot say I only promote American fighters now in my promotion, Mark.
Well, I say that to people all the time. I don't care if you're Pekingese, fighters compared to Canadian. I'm not saying one's better than the other, but there's a very big difference in mentality. And Americans seem to want to fight on a regular basis more than a Canadian fighter. That's just been my observation over the past 15 years. And like I said, but this card is the complete opposite. I mean, it's crazy. But it's funny. The less the names on this card, but you put these Canadian guys on and you put the guys from Edmonton, the media coverage is insane. Absolutely insane for this show.
Oh, it is. 100%. I mean, and to see so many guys coming out of Edmonton and Alberta in general, I mean, what does that do for mixed martial arts in this province, in your mind, Mark, to see so many guys coming out of Edmonton and the surrounding area?
Well, people, once again, they have to understand the facts. People talk about TriStar Gym, right? But there's zero shows in Montreal. It's great you have a great gym there. Hey, listen, we have Complete Fitness here, which is probably one of the best MMA gyms in Canada. But there's no question that Edmonton's the mecca of mixed martial arts in Edmonton. I mean, there's not even a second place to it. Edmonton's so far ahead of everybody else. Calgary's a joke. Montreal's a joke. Toronto is brutal. So people have to start understanding. Like, I mean, I love all those cities. But show-wise, there is no shows in any of those cities. And that's trying to tell people, I'm like, man, that this is where it's at. And, sometimes when you live in a certain place, you don't realize it because you take it for granted, because you just think it's normal that this is happening here. It's not even fathomable for me, because I am always the person that realizes the grass is not greener on the other side. And I do realize what I have in Edmonton, the support I have with the corporate sponsors, the great relationships I have with certain gyms. Just community support is unreal. And I'm so grateful for that. And I don't take it for granted.
No, of course not. Of course not, Mark. I know you shouldn't. I know you don't take it for granted. I know the rest of this card here, I know there's two fights that are really interesting because they're a bit of the old guard against new guys. MFC legend Victor Valimaki. He's taking a newer guy in Jeremy Oshima. Valimaki. I watched a few of his fights over the years. He's only been a big guy in the MMA community. Jeremy Oshima, he's 5-0. I mean, if I'm someone coming in new to watching promotion, Mark, what's something that Oshima can bring to me that want to draw me into Shaw Conference Center on Friday night as a relatively new guy in the fight game?
Well, he doesn't seem too worried about Victor, and I'm telling you right now, I saw Victor today. I have never seen him in his fight career look this good on a scale. He looked absolutely chiseled, which gives me the indication that he got ready for this camp. And he got real ready. And he looks unbelievable. I'm telling you right now. And Oshima, this is the biggest fight he's ever had in his life. And I saw him today too, and he looked pretty confident, but at the same time that could be some nervous energy too.
No, of course, it most definitely could be. This probably could be the biggest fight of his career so far, Mark.
Well, you start looking across on the weigh-in against guys like this at this level. People don't understand. Of course you want to do well, of course, but this is the task where you say to yourself, is he ready for the next level? And this is, same fight for Andrew McInnes. Andrew McInnes is in a fight against Ryan Healy. I mean, Ryan Healy has so much experience. Guy's never been submitted in 40 fights. And now McInnes, that's his whole game plan, is to submit people. That's a tough tale, man. I mean, it's a very tough test for him. And it's like all these guys from Edmonton that are on the show, it's not like they have easy fights. They all have tough fights. And that's something you'll see with my organization. I never give anybody an easy ride. Never.
And you mentioned the Healy-McInnes fight. I mean, it's interesting because Healy, of the Healy family, his brother being Pat Healy, a great fighter, and you see this fight, McInnes, his fights do not go long. I mean, his past 4 fights have been a combined total of 3 minutes and 50 seconds. I mean, that's really going to be interesting to see if Healy can fight not being submitted.
Yeah, but you got to think, Healy's had, 35 fights. And you got to think to yourself, he's never been submitted in 35 fights. If McInnes does that, that's something really special.
I know, Mark, Matt, I love talking to you. You're such a colorful dude. You're one of the best promoters in mixed martial arts. You're the only guy to ever come onto my show. And I wish you the best for the card tomorrow night. If I were in town, I would definitely come, Mark. So tomorrow night, it'll be on Access TV at the Shaw Conference Center.
Yes, sir. And then later, it'll play about a month later on the Fight Network. And I would just want Canadians to know that in 2015, MFC will be live in Canada. And that's something important for Canadians to know.
That is awesome. Like, your promotion, so much work you put into it, man. And who knows, one day maybe this is the biggest promotion in the world. Who knows, maybe one day get bigger than the UFC.
Well, listen, I always want to be the Breitling next to the Rolex. I want to be the Coca-Cola next to the Pepsi. I want to be, that's always my vision. I don't want to be like anybody else. I want to be who we are. I've always established our brand as being very different. And, I realize UFC is the biggest brand in the world, and they've done a great job. But at the same time, as I've always wanted my place to carve my own place out in the mixed martial art world over 15 years, which I know our family has.
That most definitely has here in this country. And Mark, good luck to you, man. I'll be watching tomorrow night. It should be an absolute blast tomorrow at the Shaw Conference Center for MFC 41, Mark.
All right, well, thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it.